My name is Tanya Zapkina and welcome to 3-Minute Data Science. Today I'm going to continue talking about model accuracy. In our last installment, we looked at how the accuracy number can be a little bit misleading. Now let's talk about the word predictive, as in predictive model. So when we say that the model is predictive, it is able to predict a certain outcome. What do we mean? What we mean is that the model is better at assigning the outcome than, let's say, a monkey throwing darts. So when you are reviewing the results of the model, you need to, again, look at the accuracy and compare it for different outcomes. For example, we're predicting the kind of segment that the customer is going to end up in, and let's say one of the segments is 60% of our sample. So when we predict that particular segment, we may have 80% of our predicted segment A being truly segment A, or maybe we have 65. As long as we are above that number of 60%, which is the average, we're predictive. So keep that in mind when you're reviewing the results. Now let's switch gears and talk about another aspect of practical use of the models. I'm going to use the example of movers that we used in the previous video, where 1% of our sample moved in a certain period of time. Let's say we created a model that is predictive, and it's not a bad model, it's a good model. And it is so that 50% of all people who actually moved were rated in the top 10% for moving. So when we do a prediction, we pick out the top 10%, and we'll look how many people in that top 10% actually moved. And it was 50% of all movers. So it's 0.5% divided by 10%. So 5% of that top decile, that's how it's called, are going to actually move. Is that enough for whatever practical purposes you're going to use this model for? And a lot of times when we have a rare event like that, it's kind of hard to, it's not hard to create a model, but it's hard to make a practical use out of it. Is there something we can do about it? So one thing we can do is we can reduce the percentage. So instead of looking at the top 10%, let's look at the top 5% of our predicted movers. And let's say it covers 40% of actual movers. So that would be 0.4% of the total sample, or 8% of our top 5%. So still, it's not a very high number. And this is where your judgment comes in. You need to look at which purpose you want to use this model for and decide if that's enough. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments.